I try to tell my kids, like, I grew up in a very low media environment and we didn't have a lot of books. It was the radio. It wasn't a lot of TV stations. So I never met any rich people. And we didn't even see rich people on TV, really. I remember Dallas was on TV. It was these rich Americans. But New Zealanders themselves in their age were not any conspicuous wealthy people, I think. So I don't think we have it in our face like kids have it now. Certainly as I got older, you get into your teen years and you want certain things. You see a bit of welfare, but I think it's quite conditioned from a young age not to see conspicuous wealth as well. I don't think that's changed me over time. I think that gets ingrained at a young age and it doesn't change. Was that our warm-up, Charlie?
Well, you know...
Were you recording already?
We're already recording.
Oh, wow.
It's all good. We're already on. Like, it's just like I said, a conversation. But I thought it'd be awesome to have you on because you didn't cold call me because of the gaming, but happy to help you there and your son. If you need anything, let me know. Still heavily involved, but from a distance in the gaming industry, so always happy to give my perspective and help if I can intro it.
Is it safe for children to be involved?
In gaming?
Tough industry, right?
Tough industry, hard to make money, very few. It's a little bit like the movie industry. I guess it depends where you sit in gaming. If you think about games, then it's very much like the movie industry. You know, you have a hit, you can invest a lot of money and not do much, and then obviously broader than that, I think there's a lot of industry now. You know, I was quite heavily involved in esports, so I played professionally. Before you could make any money. So
that's not on your LinkedIn.
Sorry?
That's not on your LinkedIn. You should get it on there. Pro athletes, like...
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, I mean, we had Uproar, which was doing the esports and the gaming, which was my first startup. And that came from me playing professionally and kind of seeing, I felt like we could positively contribute to the gaming industry. The gaming industry is also quite interesting because the users have such a high standard of the industry participants.
Okay.
But in terms of what gaming was able to give me personally, I met many people through gaming. I learned about communication, decision making, leadership, organization, actually typing and kind of grammar. Back in the day on PC games, there was a lot of typing. So it's hard. I'm not a big fan of some of the new games that are kind of emerging, that are very aligned with short form content as well, kind of very high dopamine, very low entry for reward. When I was gaming back in the day, games are just inherently harder. And in fact, they were kind of made to almost like be very hard to beat. Whereas I feel like nowadays, the kind of carrot and stick, the carrot is in abundance and it's every 5 seconds. And I actually
shorter attention span.
Exactly, and I think that obviously that kind of environment could permeate throughout your life. So I would say anyone that's kind of concerned about gaming, I would say if your kids are going to game, try and get them into the hardest, most competitive games possible that are really difficult to be good at. Because that'll be delayed gratification. That's really what you want. You don't want like Candy Crush.
Yeah, it's that addiction thing, right? So I think that's like as a mum, my son's harassing me to play Fortnite and that kind of thing, and there's the concern around, well, you get addicted to the TV pretty much now. Like, what's the impact going to be on him with gaming and that kind of thing? But that's a really good piece of advice.
Yeah,
so if we're going to get into it, let's try it this way.
Yeah, I mean, I would much prefer my kids on Fortnite than scrolling through shorts, watching TV, and playing kind of these very low-level mobile games. For sure.
Okay.
And
Fortnite is super hard.
Fortnite is
exactly that's what I'm saying, though.
Fortnite is so hard. I play with my son, and it's quite fun. It brings back memories. I feel like I'm still better at shooting than him, but the building component in Fortnite he is insane at building, and I'm like, it's just hard to keep up. But yeah, I would say kind of like anything, but perhaps I'm a bit biased. I kind of would go towards longer form podcasts rather than 30-second videos, and also with gaming, I would go for kind of more kind of long term or difficult to get the outcome games, and then I think there's lots of positive outcomes that can be had. But it's a tool, right? And it can be used as a weapon against yourself. Yeah. If not done correctly, I guess.
It's like anything, right?
Yeah. But you had me on the Morgo podcast, and then you gave me a call, and there was this great developer.
That's right. Yeah.
That you thought would be a good fit for us.
Yeah.
And then we had such a great conversation, and you talked about some of your time in the Valley.
Yep.
And wealth in general. And we just had a guest on that we were talking about the difference between kind of the culture of saving and building equity in America versus here.
Oh, really?
And how it's quite different. So I'm really interested to get your perspective on that.
Sure.
But we've kind of got this flow that we use to kind of just really get an understanding of kind of what wealth means to you, and kind of some of the obstacles and good parts that have kind of come across the journey. And it's not a linear path, right? So
no, not at all. What do you want to know?
So how would you define wealth?
I mean, for me, I'd have to say it's all about relationships. And then the freedom to choose what you can do with your time. Those are really the two things. And probably it's that second one, because if you can't choose what to do with your time, it's very hard to feel wealthy, no matter how much money you got. I know, it's funny because I started out in Silicon Valley as a recruiter, and I was quite young. It wasn't my first job from uni, but I met a lot of rich people. We worked for a lot of big companies. And a lot of these people didn't have control over their own time. Yeah. And you really start to notice that. And you think, these people actually don't have the kind of wealth I would want. I want to be able to. And I probably was biased because my parents had, I grew up, mum and dad had a fish and chip shop, and then they had tea rooms. We don't have tea rooms in New Zealand anymore, so people don't know what they are. But kind of like a cafe. And then they had a dairy, fruit and veggie shop. So I just grew up working in those shops from when I was little. And so my parents always kind of had control over their time until they bought the fruit and veggie dairy. Yeah. And then it was a 7-day-a-week business from 7 in the morning till 9 at night. And, you could see, it was tough those days. It was tough in the 80s to make $1 in that business. And so I think, that probably conditioned what I think wealth is the ability to control your time and be with the people you want to be with. Basically. Now, money plays a role in that, of course.
Yeah. It's an enabler.
Yeah.
It's a massive enabler. And unfortunately, you can't get away from the game. Right? That's the modern world we live in. And so that's probably what drove me to running my own business, because that was the easiest way for me to control my time and how much money I can make. To answer the question.
Totally did. So, has your definition of wealth changed over time? Going through different phases of life?
I don't think so.
Okay. But
I like to compare it with people today. I try and tell my kids, I grew up, I guess I'm 50, I was just 50 last year. So we grew up in a very low media environment. I grew up in South Taranaki and Pattaya and Wanganui, and we didn't have a lot of books. There was the radio. There was only 2 TV stations.
Yeah.
So I never met any rich people.
Yeah.
And we didn't even see rich people on TV, really. I remember Dallas was on TV. It was these rich Americans. But New Zealanders themselves, in that age, were not any conspicuous wealthy people, I think. And so I don't think we had it in our face like kids have it now. Certainly as I got older, you get into your teen years and you want certain things. You see a bit of wealth there, but I think it's quite conditioned from a young age not to see conspicuous wealth as well.
Yeah.
So I don't think that's changed for me over time. I think that gets ingrained at a young age. I don't think, and it doesn't change. At least it hasn't for me.
So your view of wealth actually was informed quite young when you were watching your parents grind in this basically hour-heavy business that they owned that was forced to be open, 7 a.m. till 9 p.m.
Not just that though, the people around us, there were farmers, there were people who weren't farmers. So I grew up in a place called Patia in South Taranaki, and they had a freezing works, and the freezing works employed almost everyone out of high school. And then in the early 80s, they shut the freezing works. So in the 70s, New Zealand used to send all their meat and all their produce to the UK, and then the UK joined the EU and cut it off. And so that completely changed a lot of employment, and especially where I was. And so Patia went from a place where people were doing pretty well, leaving school at 15 and getting a job, to I think about 20% of the population being unemployed.
Wow.
And there wasn't a lot of conspicuous wealth either from anyone. Farmers weren't doing that great then, farmers weren't driving around in big, huge trucks. Farmers were hard-working, hard-grafting people who were pretty much just getting by. And most people were. And I think that kind of, at least, I guess, I don't know if whole of New Zealand was like that. I don't really know.
But you feel like that's changed now?
I think it's definitely changed now. The opportunities for Kiwis now are so different.
A lot greater.
A lot greater. Yeah, and New Zealand is very much, I think, a different place. We've had a large immigration population move in, and they've brought different identity and ideas, and then the world's changed. In 1990, when you wanted to get a job, you looked in the newspaper and you sent your CV by paper in an envelope to a PO box. That is unfathomable for young people.
Yeah, you don't do that at
Absolutely unfathomable, Charlie. The other way you even got a job was you phoned people up, or you saw an ad or knocked on the door.
It goes back to that gaming kind of conversation we had, and the feedback loop. And that's permeated throughout life, right? The feedback loop on being able to get a job, on in your investments, on your learning. You have everything at your fingertips.
Yeah, for sure. Everything. Yeah, you're exactly right. Every little thing. I'm a language learner, so when I went to university, went to high school, I studied Japanese. Because in those days they said, you should study Japanese, it's good for you. And I just never quit. I went to university, and it was so weird then. You listened to a tape, that's all you had. But now, I turn the TV on and watch Japanese TV shows and watch the news and all sorts of things. Like you said, that feedback now is instantaneous.
It's the immersion part of it, right?
Versus what we had. When I was 18, I did a working holiday. So I finished my first year of uni and I went to Japan for 3 months and worked in market gardens and basically labouring jobs, worked in restaurants. I didn't speak English for 3 months. Now, it was cool. But now last year I took the family over there for a holiday, and they're all on their phones all the time and everything's in English, and they can translate.
Right,
so,
yes.
You lose that ability to immerse yourself in a different culture.
Yeah, the feedback is really quick. But that's what's changed New Zealand too. New Zealand is now a very different country from when I grew up. And I think the wealth opportunities are very different from people here.
To overseas?
No, from 20, 30 years ago.
Right.
What it was.
I mean, given that you're in recruitment and you're dealing with a lot of young people on the start of their journey, in terms of bringing in income for the first time and then thinking about what's going to happen, are you seeing any interesting trends, or have you got any kind of perspectives that would serve those people starting in their career off well?
I think they're amazing. I'm massively impressed with the younger generation in many ways. In many ways, they're much better than I was when I was a teen. They know so much more. I think in many ways they're better at communicating. The kids I coach, I've coached high school basketball for the last 4 or 5 years, and so and then I still play, so I still play with a lot of young guys, and I've seen them grow up, and they impress me massively. And so I think, I don't know if there's any massive trends. I think they're very keen on being very good, which is great, and I like that about them.
That's cool.
It's interesting. I think there's a difference between kids just after COVID, from what I've seen in the last 4 or 5 years, versus that group before. I think they've had a tough time in the last 4 or 5 years.
Totally agree.
I think there's a little bit more fragility from what I've seen with the kids most recently. I hope it's not a trend. I just hope they went through a rough time and they'll come through stronger.
Get support that they need to be able to come through stronger. I think it's important. I work a little bit in the mental health space, and there's definitely noticeably a need there for that age demographic. And the more help we can give them, I think we're going to set them up long term well. But it's just trying to fill that gap, I think, in the meantime.
Yeah. But differently, like the candidates I work with who are in their late 20s and early 30s, I'm massively impressed with. I think that they've got a sophistication that we probably didn't have in some ways.
I guess that's down to the abundance of information we now have.
That's right, the feedback.
I think back to when we kind of got done with the acquisition of Uproar, and I was thinking about what to do next, and I was really getting into obviously investing, and that's kind of I'd already started reading into investing, and I was able to read across so many disciplines of asset allocation that was potentially not available 20 years ago. And even though the data is still, there's still a lot of fragmentation in the finance industry, the difference between, 2019, 2018, 2017 and 1990 is just absolutely night and day.
You wouldn't believe it. I tell my kids, my dad, he used to take. I used to read car manuals because that's all he had. Cars used to come with a little manual by the door that told you how to do things with the car. I remember pulling those things out and reading it. I didn't have anything else to read.
I think so. We kind of have we kind of have information overload now, right? Because now it's actually we've got all the information, but it's now how do I choose? And it's same with wealth. And same with kind of career, right? And that's why I guess you're seeing a lot of people pivot in their careers more now because obviously there's more choice. But again, it's almost like overload of information because where do I go? I have all these choices. It almost becomes a bit harder.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think there's definitely a bit of that. There's this old study they did on, they were trying to sell jam to people, and what they discovered that if you give people 2 choices of jam, they'll choose one or the other. But if you give them 6 choices of jam, they'll buy peanut butter.
Too much information.
Right. And that's, like I said, that's what the world is like now in many ways.
Yeah.
Overload.
Yeah. Totally.
And there's real rewards. I tell candidates, and I don't know how I said this, there's real rewards in being really good at something.
Specialisation.
Yeah. There's real rewards in that. But there's also great rewards in it's that T. They talk about the T skill set, where you're really strong in one area, and then you've got a lot of skills across them.
Yeah. Across a few, and then you go deep.
Yeah, but you can't be all shallow,
Yes.
and you can't be only deep.
Yeah. And I guess it's quite easy to get that shallow, live by analogy thing. Elon Musk talks about a lot of people want to live by through analogy rather than first principles. And I guess that's where it comes down to is obviously we've got sound bites for days. So we can say interesting things, but do you really have that understanding and conviction? And I think that's like always a risk actually when you think about wealth and new asset classes, because there's a lot of sound bites, but do you really know the first principles of this new asset? And I think that if you don't have that, if you have a shallow understanding of something versus a deep understanding, or at least a deep conviction of something, it's easier when stuff gets hard. Whereas when you've got a few sound bites of a topic and you kind of have a vague belief in it and you kind of get it at a surface level, when things don't go the way you had expected, that's when it's easier to be swayed or easier to be kind of become disinterested, or it just gets difficult. Whereas if you've got kind of a deep understanding of I know this to be true, and I've got I understand what's going on, it just makes kind of going on a little bit easier.
Yeah, look, I think that must be super. I mean, it's super hard for me. I don't know about everyone else. I'm not massively interested in investment in different asset classes, and so I'm never going to get that depth in any particular asset class.
Yeah.
And that of knowledge. And almost feel and that to me is a little bit of a turn off, right? I don't want to I don't want to learn about cryptocurrency. I don't want to understand the first principles.
Part of crypto. Oh no, absolutely.
Because it's just, I'm like, well, maybe I should know more about healthcare stocks. Or maybe I should know more about derivatives.
Yeah, Stanley Druckenmiller, who's my favourite investor, probably of all time. He trained under George Soros, which is the strategy that we've created and we've ran since 2019. It's called the reflexive strategy, the Medition reflexive strategy, and it's from Soros. But Soros' protege was Stanley Druckenmiller, and what I love about one of his quotes was he said, actually, I'm going to put all my eggs in one basket, but I'm going to watch that basket really carefully, right? And I really like that because it's like I'm not trying to go deep in 1,000 things, but what I am getting interested in, I'm going to look at that really intentionally and really try to understand that as best I can.
Yeah.
And I love that because I think that there's this fallacy around diversification, and like you say, it's just another piece of information. It's another node that you have to that's kind of in your psyche, but if it's not really front of mind, then it just becomes noise.
Yeah, well, there's unlimited things to learn about, right?
So what got you into your current role?
So I went to Japan.
Yep.
And I actually that was great that I got my degree actually, and because I could work for the Japanese government in a program called the JET program. Mm-hmm. You go over there and you work in Japanese schools as a team teacher. It was basically playing with kids, which is what I love to do. And so I did that for 3 years, and I met my wife there. My wife was American, and she wanted to go back to school in Silicon Valley, so we flew back to the States. She went back to school and said, we need to live somewhere, so you'll have to get a job. So I basically got a right to work visa the day I married her. And she said, go get a job. And I began a part-time job with an executive search firm as a researcher for them. And they were filling jobs in between. They needed someone who could speak and read and write Japanese. And they were filling jobs in between Silicon Valley and Asia. And I was really lucky. I had a great guy to work with. Don't know if you've heard of Taiwan Semiconductor.
Yeah.
But they were one of our, I worked with Taiwan Semiconductor, and they were one of our clients. And he took me to their first meeting with this Chinese company called Huawei, who turned up in the United States.
Yeah.
And then the rest of the office, we worked with people like Apple. I had a candidate interview with Steve Jobs.
Did you?
Yeah, that's not right. But so I worked in that job for a couple of years, and it was a really great company. They had great training. And they said, do you want to be a recruiter too? And I said, yeah, I'll give it a go. And I did the training. I worked with great people. And I think I still use that as a basis for people I talk to, is you really want early in your career to work in a company. It doesn't matter if I don't know it matters if it's a great company, but is there someone in the office that you think's great?
So kind of like a mentor?
Yeah, like a mentor, but at least, an archetype that you look at, I want to be like them. How do they do it? What can I learn from them? Because I was really lucky that 2 or 3 people in my office were like that. So that's how I got into it. And I've never got out.
Yeah.
Despite trying. No, I haven't really tried. But I moved to Tokyo for them and helped them open an office in Tokyo, and then I moved back here when we had our first son, and worked in another recruitment here for about a company for 18 months. And I think you were going to ask a little bit about when do you start thinking more about wealth?
Yeah.
So I had my second son, and so he was a baby, and my other son was 18 months old. I thought we better find something to live with these guys.
Yeah.
So we went and bought a house, and I started my own recruitment company with 2 kids under 2 years old.
That would have been stressful.
House, yeah.
And so when you...
It was.
Yeah. That's what
but it seemed like a good idea at the time.
Yeah. And so your wife was on board with this, and...
Yeah.
Yeah? Down for the...
She had 2 kids under 19 months old. She
was
busy.
Right.
She was busy. She was like, you handle that other side of stuff.
Okay. And so, did you guys ever kind of sit down and have a conversation around the plan, or it just evolved over time?
No.
Yep.
The answer's no. I don't know what I'm just going to say on this. Okay, my wife won't watch this, but she's not really interested in money.
Yeah.
And it's interesting, her mother was a doctor.
Yeah.
Her sister's a doctor in the United States. And I think mum really put her off money for some reason. I don't know if she managed stuff. And I think this is a big, something young people should know is in your relationships, right? How money works and be able to talk with each other about
important.
it. So important, but so difficult.
It's
So difficult.
money, religion. You know, a lot of people think, oh, let's get married. And they don't have the tough conversations up front, right? Around those kinds of things. Because if you're not on the same page, that can lead to some definite difficulties.
Okay. But if you just keep running faster, sometimes it works out okay.
Pans out.
And so we were married 25 years last year.
Oh, congratulations.
Yeah, hopefully we'll make it this year as well. But it's a work in progress, for sure. And I don't think we ever had a talk, but we had an idea. Owning a home was an idea we were keen on, owning a home. And so, bought in Auckland.
Yeah.
And,
Was there is there an end state? So it seems a bit silly, but yeah, I mean, I guess was there because obviously wealth is much more than, like you said, money. Your wife isn't too interested in money. So
I wouldn't say she's not interested in money. She's not interested in talking about finances.
Right. Okay.
She likes
that's
money.
interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
So not too interested. That's cool.
She just went on a 2-week holiday with her sisters to Korea, for example. So
You guys have an affinity for Asia.
she's Asian.
Okay, she's Asian American.
She's Asian American. Yeah.
Interesting. Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. Her sisters love Korean. What are those things? The
K-pop.
dramas.
Okay, Pop.
The dramas.
the
The
soap.
dramas. The
Yeah.
Netflix dramas.
Yeah.
So they went on a holiday.
They went on a holiday, went to Seoul, and did all these things.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, that people do.
Yeah.
I guess that's part of the. You guys, by the sounds of it, it's like you guys prioritised memories, experience.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah.
That
Over things.
Yeah. So that's kind of been, I guess.
Yeah.
It's almost a treasure trove of wealth, right? In a sense, is all those experiences. Like some people take a lot of photos.
Yeah, I'd say so. I spent a lot of time managing my son's basketball teams for Auckland, and when he played under 17s for Auckland, they came second in New Zealand, and that was an amazing experience. For me to manage the team and be sitting on the bench with him, and I think about it all the time. I don't know if it meant as much to him, but it was those experiences you can't get them back, and you just don't forget them. Yeah. And we've done holidays as well together. Like last year, the trip we did to Japan was really lucky. My son and his partner who live in Sydney, they came with us. Just a great time.
That's cool. Oh, interesting.
Yeah, and I think that is real wealth.
Yeah.
When you can do that, you can take 3 weeks off and take your family somewhere.
Totally. Yeah, we experienced that last year when we went away for a month. We went to Europe, the UK, France, and China as well on the way back. We did the Great Wall.
That would have been awesome. The kids would have buzzed on that.
Yeah, extremely tired because we left the airport for 12 hours to do it.
Right.
So it was awesome. It was far more interesting than sitting in the airport, kind of bored.
Yeah.
But I must say the amount of security going in and out was more than I had anticipated.
I've heard it's got worse.
Yeah, it may have, but it was awesome to go. When the food we got was incredible, so it was wicked.
And I don't take those things for granted because I know not everyone can do it. And yeah, I think it is a great thing to prioritise for your families because they grow up so quickly.
Yeah.
And it's so cliche. There's so many cliches with parenthood, but the problem is they're all true.
Yeah. So on your kind of journey, for the lack of a better word, has there been any moments where you're focused hard on your company and your business and work that maybe some of the other things didn't happen quite how you'd planned?
Oh, for sure. I would say the first 5 years was like that.
Yeah.
And I guess the worst result of that was in 2009. I ruptured a disc in my neck.
Oh gosh.
So, and it was really bad. It was really painful, actually.
Yeah, I know it would be. Yeah.
And I never got surgery. I was actually in the States when it happened, and we were travelling. And so it was a month or so when I came back, but it was it was an instantaneous thing. It happened overnight. I'd actually been carrying my son on my shoulders.
Yeah.
But I could tell it wasn't just from there. You know,
Yeah.
it was years of sort of sitting like this and not prioritizing any kind of health. You know, it's sedentary for sure. Didn't eat that well, I don't think. And so that was a bit of an eye-opener.
So did you make any changes after that?
Yes.
Or, yeah.
Yeah, I did. So this is, I mean, it was tough, but it was the best thing that could have happened to me, really.
Yeah.
Because I started exercising more. Actually started playing sport again,
Yeah.
which has been great. So this was 10 years ago, yeah. 10, 12. No, it's actually longer now. It's 15 years ago. So, yeah. Which has been really great. The fact I started playing sport again was a catalyst for my son to start, and then for me to start coaching and getting more involved in the community again, which is really nice. And then, found another sport. I started running.
Okay.
And so, I think that's, you know, we talk about your health is also, again, another cliche, right? Hey, you have to look after your health. And when you're in your 20s, you're like, yeah, I know what you mean. I'm big and strong and for it, but it's just so sad. Age catches up with you, and then if you don't listen to it, what do I hear? I had this thing that's in your 30s, if you don't listen to your body, it just nudges you. But in your 40s, it starts to bludgeon you with a stick.
Totally experiencing that at the moment,
And then if you keep ignoring it, it kills you in your 50s.
Yeah.
That's the problem.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And
it's even like injuries you get in your 20s because you're like bulletproof.
Yeah.
Now I'm paying for it, right? I used to just push through things with dancing and that, and now if like my daughter's dancing, and if there's kind of anybody who's hurt themselves, I'm like, let yourself heal 100%, otherwise you'll pay for it when you get older, because there's that mentality around, oh, she'll be right, you'll be fine, keep going.
Yeah, I'm a little, I have to say, as a coach, I'm a little bit on the fence.
Yeah.
I believe in, you know, sometimes pain isn't harm.
But there's good pain and bad pain, right? Like I fully get that.
Sometimes you need to keep playing.
Yeah, all right.
But you're right. I think the thing is, as you get older, is how you're going to deal with it.
Yeah.
It becomes a game
Yeah.
that you don't want to lose.
Yeah.
And I started running about 5 years ago, and so I've run a few marathons, and it's really it kind of teaches you, I better find a way to get around these things, or I'll just stop running.
Yeah.
And that is not a solution.
No, it's not.
You just start to feel worse. So,
Okay.
Nice.
So, in terms of wealth, so is your kind of idea around wealth, is it connected with your immediate family, or does your extended family play part of that?
It's just, you know what, it's just immediate family.
Yeah.
So my parents worked very hard, very hard-working people. But I don't think we ever had a conversation about wealth once. My whole childhood.
I think it's quite normal though, right? Like
In Western society especially.
we never talked about it at all. It was the example that was set for us, and then off you go.
Yeah.
Do you think that you, from that, have learned and taken more kind of intentional steps, I guess, to do something slightly different with your kids, or maybe not?
I didn't know.
No.
Kind of. I don't know, Charlie. It's a great question, right? You know, how we try to differ from how our own parents raised us. And I always think it's really hard to know. It's easy when things are going good to not be like your parents.
Yes.
But when something goes bad, you know who you remember.
You look at you hear yourself saying something, and I'm like, oh my gosh, it's my mum.
I listened to this guy the other day because he's talking about how the youngest generation was completely different, and he just laughed and said, "No, they'll all end up being like their parents." I think they get different influences. So my parents ran a shop and they ran all these businesses, and then my dad was also a builder. So he bought houses, he had rental properties as well. That definitely influenced how I viewed the ability for me to start my business, for example. I never thought I couldn't.
Yeah. Okay.
Right. And so I wonder if that rubs off onto my kids. Yeah.
It's quite interesting. It's like the details. I mean, you know, the devil's in the details, right? But the details, yeah, it's almost. I wonder if there's like a lot of a kind of fear of like, you know, exposing the details. You know, my kids ask about, you know, questions all the time. They ask some really kind of interesting questions, and you know, I remember my wife was like, "Oh well, you know, I don't want to tell you that because I know that you're going to go and talk about it with your friends, and then it becomes almost like a competition thing."
Yeah.
That's good, isn't it?
But I was like, you know what? It is what it is. You know, like we should give them as much information as we can. Maybe, I don't know. I'm quite like that because I do think that, you know, I try to think you have nothing to be ashamed of. Like with it, you're all on your own journey and you're trying to, you know, work it out.
I think it's important too that we have those conversations around kind of wealth and finances and that kind of thing, because it's not spoken about that much. So I think it's actually that exposure for like our kids is a really good thing, but just even for our friends and family, I think it can make a difference for things.
Yeah, and it's really hard, right?
Yes.
I agree.
Yeah.
I totally agree. I think when you see your cousins, how the cousins are doing something, or how the auntie and the uncle or anyone else is doing it, it's great for kids. Because I remember myself when I saw my cousins succeed doing something, like, oh, it's different from someone you don't know within your family.
Mm.
Yeah. I don't know how to answer your question though about whether it's good or not. Yeah, it's super hard one.
I think it's I guess it depends, you know, from people to people. But I would say that my observation from Western culture is there probably isn't enough real deep conversations about finances, and I think that then may make people end up lost later.
Yeah.
So it's definitely something that I advocate for, and you know I know friends that talk about their finances in detail with each other that are, you know, from the Netherlands and other places like that, and they're just like, yeah, this is how much I earn, and this is how much I'm worth, and that's really uncomfortable, you know, because it's you're bearing your soul in a sense, right? You're opening yourself up. So I think it's interesting.
It's that well, I can't think of the right word, but you know, so this is how much I'm earning. Is that how much I'm worth? Do you know what I mean? That relationship between how you see yourself and your self-worth. Is there a monetary value on that? I would say no, but for a lot of people there is. They define themselves by what their current job is and what they're currently earning in that job.
Yeah.
So it can be a bit confronting, right?
You know, as a guy whose job it is to ask people how much they're earning.
Yeah.
on a daily basis.
Yeah.
I've got immune to asking people.
Yeah.
It's caught me out a couple of times in like social situations because I have no problem saying, well, how much do you know?
Yeah.
But when I see the look on someone's face and I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
But I actually do talk with my kids a lot about what other people earn.
Yeah, right.
Because I'm in the industry.
Yeah, and you know.
Yeah, my son's older, you know, he's looking at different kinds of jobs. I can say, well, this guy's look at his CV and he earns this.
Yeah.
And, you know, and I think I just talk to him about shares and stuff and things like that.
Yeah. So if you kind of think back in time and kind of when you had that first realization around the journey that you wanted to go on, maybe with your business and your family and that kind of thing, if you had to kind of start again, is there one thing that you would be what would be the first thing that you would do to start yourself on that journey?
What a great question. Wow. Like from a wealth perspective or just a business?
Well,
wealth,
we'll go with
wealth holistically.
Yeah.
No, I would have bought more Apple shares, you know. Hindsight's always 2020. Right?
Yeah.
When I worked in Silicon Valley, Apple was at $18.
Whoa.
I remember my boss coming in and saying, I'm going to buy some Apple. I never did.
Yeah.
But what would I do differently?
Or what would the next thing you did? You have this aha moment, all of a sudden wealth is important to you. What is the first thing you do?
You start your own business.
Now.
You start your own business. Yeah. Because when you limit your income, right, who limits your income? Who you work for. And that was an easy decision for me. Once I moved back here and I was working on a little recruitment firm, a great guy, but they just weren't making me as much money as I could make by myself. I knew it. So, yeah, I mean, start my own business. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for coming and having this conversation. I found it really interesting.
Yeah.
No, I like talking to other parents about things, and they always got that smile on their face. That knowing smile. We're all in the same boat.
That fear.
Yeah, exactly. So it's good fun. Thank you, Charlie. I appreciate it.
No, really appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Helen.
You're welcome. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
Awesome. Cheers.